I get free life lessons from J-Hope and Jimin. Sometimes it's like they're 10 years older than me. We share the USTA's vision to promote and expand the game of tennis. I have been playing the game since I was 6 years old with my dad and 5 brothers, so I know firsthand how it teaches life lessons, integrity, dedication, and competitiveness. There's instances where you do everything right and you work hard and things don't work out. That's part of life, and it ends up being life lessons for some guys. One of my earliest memories is of seeing my mother in her beach chair, reading a book under an umbrella by the water's edge while my sisters and I played beside her. Of all the life lessons she taught me, that is one of my favorites: to take time at a place I love, restore my spirit with books and the beach. I've been through a lot off the field. I think that kind of translates onto the field. Football serves for a lot of life lessons, and so it allows me to stay humble and continue to work. Listening to the stories my colleagues are researching and grappling with, in terms of access to documents, psychological understanding of their subjects, artful composition and determination to extrapolate from an individual's life lessons and insights that we can all learn from, I am each time overwhelmed by joy. Tennis was a particularly interesting growing up experience. It's actually a difficult way of growing up because it's such an individual sport. It taught me a lot of life lessons that have been helpful later in my life. You know, your first album is about really amazing things. Your first album is always about coming of age, first love, first loss. Usually you suffer a first loss of someone that you love to death, even, really big life lessons, things you learn from your parents' divorce or from the travels that you took. The truth is, gymnastics is a beautiful sport that has allowed me to grow and learn invaluable life lessons: sacrifice, dedication, discipline. Eventually, it led me to my voice. There was always the next therapy appointment, next surgery, next college exam, but with time and deep thought, those evolved into life lessons, which then evolved into perspective. When you give your children certain life lessons, and they come and ask you for additional advice, you say to yourself, I've done my job, and you'll continue to do your job. There's just a lot of really great life lessons that you can take out of chess. I think that's one of my favorite parts about it is it's very competitive, but it's totally cerebral. I'm always giving life lessons in my music. I've learned some of the greatest life lessons from growing up in the skate and punk rock communities. My dad was always very hard on me when it came to sports. He always used golf to teach me life lessons. I have enjoyed most particularly reading the correspondence between Gustav Mahler and Richard Strauss. The genuine friendship, competitiveness and support that thread through their communications are life lessons for us all. I mean, it's the life lessons that I suppose you learn that nobody gets a free ride and that you do the best you can with the means that you can and try to open yourself to as much knowledge and all that you can. The Walking Dead has allowed me to experience success and remain myself and develop some of the closest bonds, both professionally and personally, that I could ever have imagined. It's taught me a lot of life lessons. Rather than make excuses for their failures, resilient people learn from each mistake. They identify skills, ideas, and life lessons that can be gained from each failed opportunity. There are life lessons that can be derived from reality television. I have to have 3 or 4 books going simultaneously. If I'm not impressed in the first 20 pages, I don't bother reading the rest, especially with novels. I'm not a book club style reader. I'm not looking for life lessons or wanting people to think I'm smart because I'm reading a certain book. My mother always taught me a lot of important life lessons, and she would always tell me how important it was to tip. We didn't have much money, so we would tip what we could. Now, it's at the point I'm financially stable. When I'm out eating, I hope I have the cash, but if I write it on the receipt, I'll leave a big tip. Gymnastics taught me everything: life lessons, responsibility and discipline and respect. I am not someone who is ashamed of my past. I'm actually really proud. I know I made a lot of mistakes, but they, in turn, were my life lessons. I think you accidentally learn things in high school that turn out to be life lessons when you are able to step back a bit and study them in more depth. In our family business, the Edelman children must earn their way. There were and will be no promises without performance and leadership. That may lead to some skinned knees, but it is certainly the best way to learn life lessons. Of all the things people have taught me regarding life lessons or anything that would benefit me, I don't think anything helped me learn more about life than football. You go through so many different things: adversity, how to handle adversity, how to handle success, how to lead, how to be a teammate, how to communicate. I am a great believer in jobs for teens. They teach important life lessons, build character, and inflict just the right amount of humiliation necessary for future success in the working world. The focus on just thinking about standardized test scores as being synonymous with achievement for teenagers is ridiculous, right? There are so many things that kids care about, where they excel, where they try hard, where they learn important life lessons, that are not picked up by test scores. Slobberknocker, My Life in Wrestling is really not a wrestling book. It's a book about life, and there's a great love story in this book. There are great life lessons in this book about not allowing others to define you. Football has done so much for me, given me friends, family, given me life lessons that now I can use in the operating room or just as a leader. I want people to have learned from me. When you watch movies that we grew up on, they teach you life lessons about friendship, brotherhood, integrity, but it's still funny and something you can watch as a family. I want to bring that back to our culture in general. I really loved working with Michael Caine. He's a really skilled and experienced actor. I learned something from everybody. But when you work with somebody like that, you actually learn things you can put in your toolbox, things about craft. Not necessarily life lessons, but actual things he knows that you can pick up. When you get older, you learn certain life lessons. You apply that wisdom, and suddenly you say, hey, I've got a new lease on this thing, so let's go. I'm giving life lessons and tips on how to take care of your emotional heart, because heart disease is the #1 killer in America. My films, sometimes, have my own reflections of life. They have life lessons I've had that I put across in a humorous or satirical way. I try and focus on the youth coming up, and I think tennis is a great sport regardless of how far you make it, just, obviously, a lot of good life lessons. We learn a lot of life lessons in how we play this great game, and I've been fortunate enough to be involved in it at every level. I think back to my upbringing and the social skills I learned, the life lessons and friends I made because I was fortunate enough to play, and how that impacted me and gave me self-confidence. Restaurant Man is kind of the story, an unabridged story of what happened in my life, the good, bad and ugly. Some people might glean some life lessons. It is honest, not written as a press release. I've grown up a lot, I'm on my own, and I've learned some valuable life lessons. I'm so grateful for all the experiences I've had. The life lessons I've learned along the way are just completely invaluable. I take all of my life lessons, which some people might call mistakes, and apply them to my future so that I keep growing. Mistakes are a part of being human. Appreciate your mistakes for what they are, precious life lessons that can only be learned the hard way, unless it's a fatal mistake, which, at least, others can learn from. I was taught some very good life lessons and morals as a young kid growing up. We're trying to give a young man life lessons, sacrifice, commitment, teamwork, self-confidence, self-esteem. That's what this sport does for kids. Some of the life lessons that my mom has taught me is that the road is not for the fastest or the swiftest, but it's for those who enjoy it to the end. Just telling you that life is not pure grace. It's like a marathon. I believe giving back is one of the greatest life lessons we can teach our children, that the world isn't all about them and that, through our actions, people will really discover what kind of a person we truly are. I got a lot of great life lessons from the entertainment industry. The first was being able to feel comfortable taking risks. I don't want to just tell my story, I want to share the experiences, life lessons, and values that have shaped who I am and my ideas for the future. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.